Good evening. So I just wanted to go through how my process was to go through all these questions. Please forgive me if I take too long, but I just wanted to show you guys how to do this. So for number one, write base 5 numbers for this. So how you do this, and I'm just going to show you like on the free spaces, is first look at the place value. So I have these numbers and I like to separate them out. So I have 4 numbers and I'm going to have 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. And then we're going to place these. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to use a different color. And then I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to place these. So I'm going to do times. And because we're at base 10, we're going to say that this one is going to be in the thousands place. And that means it's going to have 3 placemakers behind it. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to do 5 to the third power. That means this will be 5 to the second, because there's 2 zeros behind this one. That's a 2. And this will be 5 to the first, because there's 1 0. This will be 5 to the 0. And then I'm going to add all these together. So eventually I'm going to add these together. Put a plus sign in the middle. And then 5 to the third power, this is going to end up being 125. That's what that equals. This is going to end up being 50 because 5 times 5 is 25 times 2 is 50. So we're going to do plus 50. Do the mental math a little for you. This is going to be 5 to the first power, which will just be 5. And 3 times 5 is going to be plus 15. And then this is going to be 1 because 0 just means it's 1. So it's going to be plus 4. Okay. Then I stack all my numbers up, 125, 50, 15, and 4. Those are all my 4 numbers. And then we get 10, 14. This is 2, 5, 7, 8, 9. And then I know my answer for this one's going to be 194. Now we got to do it a little bit backwards. So in base 10 numbers. So we have this here. So I'm going to trash this, and then I'm going to write the same 4 numbers. So we have 1, 2, oh, a little close. Let me spread it out some more. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So first of all, this is going to be in the ones place. So I'm going to have this being times 5 to the first power. Now this is in the decimals place, okay? So this is 1 back. Actually, this is 0, sorry, because it's in the zeros, ones place. So this is going to be times 5 to the negative first power, because it's here. This is going to be times 5 to the negative second power. And this is going to be times 5 to the negative third power. So this will end up being 1, because this will be 1, and 1 times 1 is 1. So I'm going to put 1 here. And then we're adding all these numbers together. So what I forgot is saying that we got to add these together once it's all said and done. Okay, then this one is going to be, look at my notes, 2/5. This is going to be plus 2/5 because if we have this 5 to the negative 1, it's going to represent 1/5 because when you have an exponent, it just means that this goes to the denominator and the 1 goes as the numerator. Okay, so then we'll have 2 5s in the denominator. So it's going to be 1 over 25. So we're going to do plus 3 over 25 because that's what that will equal. And then we have 5 times 5, which is 25, times 5, which is 125. So this will be plus 4 over 125. Now, because we are in pre-algebra, and I teach pre-algebra and algebra 1, I'm going to use my calculator to add these fractions up because I really want to use my time wisely. Now, if you want to make them all to common denominators, that is okay with me. But I just really want you to understand the process. And then we get 194 over 125, and that is going to be our answer for this one. 194 over 125. Now, if you want to turn that into a decimal, you can. And we know that that will also equal 1.552. So those are the solutions for that one. All right. H2. This one's really going to break down the understanding of what base 10 is and how it works in place value. So some of the things I'm doing is I'm going to go through these and then I'm going to utilize some of this information to help me with others. Okay, so we have 0.1 and base 5. So it says find the base 10 fractions represented here. So to make it easy, we know that these are all going to be in the tens place. So just like when I did here, this is going to be 1 times 5 to the negative first power. This will be 2 times 5 to the negative first power, 3 times 5 to the negative first power, and 4 times 5 to the negative first power. So if we remember what 5 to the negative first power is, that's going to be 1/5. Okay, that's going to be a fraction. So basically we're multiplying each of these by 1/5. So this will be 1/5. This will be 2/5, 3/5, and 4/5. Okay. Now if we did this one, okay, we'll trash that. This one, we know it's 2 spaces behind, so this is going to be 1 times 5 to the negative second power. 2 times 5 to the negative second power. 3 times 5 to the negative second power. And 4 times 5 to the negative second power. So for these, all of our denominators are going to be 1 over, they're going to be 25. So the first one's going to be 1 over 25. I'm going to write it over here so I have more room. This will be 2 over 25, 3 over 25, 4 over 25, and that's what those will look like. Now, a little bit of this is you can pick and choose what you have. So for this first one, I know it is, this one is going to be 1/5 because it is this, and this was 1 times 1/5. So I got 1/5. And then this part is going to be in this second power here, and it's going to be plus 2 over 25. Now, for the sake of time, I can quickly turn this into a common denominator. I know that our denominator would be 25 for both. And I know I did that because 5 times 5 is 25, and 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2. And then the answer for this will be 7 over 25. Okay. You can do the same for this one. I'm going to erase this math over here. And you can kind of use what you remember about base 10. I knew that this was 2/5, so I'm going to put 2/5 here. And then I know this is 3 in the thirds place, so I'm going to do 3 over 25 here. Okay, so I'm going to get my eraser. Instead of having 2 here, I'm going to have 3. Now I'm going to do the same thing as last time. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 3 over 25. And this would be 13 over 25. Okay. Same here. So I know that this is going to be 3/5. So I'm going to erase this. You can kind of see a little pattern. Okay, I'm going to leave this here, but I'm going to erase these. So this will be 3/5. And then this will be 4 over 25. And I know this will be 15 over 25 because we had to multiply both of these by 5, 4, and this will be 19 over 25. Now last one is 4/3. We know that this is going to be 4/5, so I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to put 4/5, and then this is going to be 3 over 25. Now, I know I had to multiply both of these by 5. This will turn into 20 over 25. And then we add these up together, and this will be 23 over 25. Okay? All right. So now we're on question 3. Find the base value that represents here. So what I do first is I turn this into a decimal because I really like doing this format better. Okay, and that's just my preference. If you find a different strategy, please share with the group. But for me, I'm going to turn these into a decimal. So I'm going to grab my calculator and I'm going to use it to do some simple math. I'm going to do 9 divided by 25. And I see that my decimal is 0.36, and that's what I'm going to do here. So we have 0.36. And just like we did in the previous section, we're going to break it up into pieces. So I know that 0.3 here, this is going to turn to 3/5. And then I have 6 here. And I know it's going to be over 25 because I know all these were over 25. So it's going to be plus 6 over 25. Okay. Then I'm going to, multiply both these by 5. So that'll be 15 over 25 plus 6 over 25. And I know that my answer for this one would be 21 over 25. And if I wanted to turn that into a decimal, I can just grab my calculator and then I would do 21 divided by 25. And then I would get 0.84 as a base 10 fraction. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing for, and do the same thing for 23 over 125. So I'm going to clear this out. I'll clear out my work. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into a decimal just like I did. So do 23 divided by 125. Okay, and then I get 184. Wait a minute. I did this a little bit backwards. I wasn't paying attention. So scratch what I just said. Oh my goodness. Sorry, it's so late. This is actually going to be different. Okay, we had to figure out the strategy that we did to get here. So instead, this is actually going to be 0.09 because this denominator was 25. Okay? Now, if I were to add a third place, this would be 23 over 125. Now, what would that look like? That's the question. So for this one, I feel like what I did, from my understanding, this could also be done this way. This could have multiple answers to me. I'm not sure which one's right, which one's wrong. I guess it could be a topic for discussion. But for me, from what I understood, was I like turning things into a decimal and working backwards. But you just got to be careful because there's more than one way to get an answer. Okay, so here, well, actually, no. Scratch this because this isn't even in base 5. Anyway, moving forward. So we're going to turn this one. So I have 0.184. And I'm going to break this up just like I did this number here. So I know that this would turn into 1/5 plus 8 over 25. And then this would turn to plus 4 over 125. And then we can add all these together. And that's what I'm going to do with this calculator. So I have 1 over 5 plus 8, well, let's see, 8 over 25 plus 4 over 125. And then I would get 69 over 125. I can also turn that into a decimal. And that would be 0.552. Okay. Now, sorry, I worked all these problems out before I recorded. So I was coming to a realization of something. It could be something. It could be just, I don't know. But anyway, moving forward. So number 4. So if you're counting in base 5, what number would you say just before you said 100? So for me, skip counting, you would say 194. So 94 is what I would say right before I get to 100 because you're skip counting. You're going from 0 to 4 every time. 0 to 4, 10 to 14, 20 to 24. So the number you would previously say before you get to 100 would be 94. So in base 5, what number is one more than 344? And I would say it's 345 because that's the ending before you restart your counting. So after that, you would be at 350. Okay. And what is the greatest 3-digit number that can be written in base 5? What number come just before or just after? So that's a tricky question. I guess it would be 1,000. 1,000 would be the greatest number, and the number that you would get right before that would be 995. Okay. Or the greatest 3-digit number, it would be 995. Okay. And the number that just would come just after this number would be 1,000. So I got that confused. All right. So question 5. What number in base 5 behaves the way 3 does for base 4? So the number 4, you can carry to the next digit, just like 9 and 10. So 4 would behave like 3 in base 4. So 4 would behave like 3 in base 5. Okay, question 6. Counting by 2s to 30 in base 5. So if you counted 2s to 30 in base 5 would be 0, 2, 4, 10, 12, 14, 20, 22, 24, and then finally you would get to 30. In base 5, how can you tell if a number is even? So if a number is even, it would end in either 0, 2, or 4. Count by 3s to 30 in base 5. So that would look like this: 0, 3, 10, 13, 20, 23, and then you would get to 30. Question 7. Find base 5 representation for base 10 fraction 1/2. So for me, I would do 1 divided by 2. I would get 0.5, and then I'd put that, so I'll show you what I would do. I would have 0.5. I would have 5 times 5 to the negative first power, which would be 5 times 1/5, which would equal 1. How might you tell if a number is even or odd in base 10? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can you generalize in base n? So because that would end, all numbers would be 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. And I really apologize, but that's as far as I got. I really could not figure out how to do 9 and 10. I would love a class discussion on how to figure that out. I just don't think my mind operates like that. I feel like I'm reflecting back on that 0 article when teachers sometimes had hard time explaining the why behind why 0 is undefined, and I feel like I'm having that moment with these questions. So please forgive me. I hope you guys have a great, fabulous week, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.